We're in the Power Home Solar Radio Studio. I'm Matt Taylor, joined by Alara Overton across the way, and our guest in studio with us, he needs no introduction as a player, but now he is the wide receivers coach for the Indianapolis Colts. A big smile on his face. It's Reggie Wayne. Reg, great to see you again, man.
I appreciate y'all having me. I got to get used to this coach thing, man. I really do. It's every time somebody say, "Hey, what's up, coach?" I look behind me. I think there's a coach behind me. You know,
is that what you want to be called, or something else?
Just it doesn't matter. Just call me ready. I'm ready for this. I'm excited for this opportunity. Obviously, I'm thankful and humbled. And I can't thank the organization and Frank and Chris Ballard enough for just giving me the opportunity to be here.
Reggie, you were here in 2018. You had a voluntary assistant role. You stepped in the offseason, worked with this offense under Coach Reich, and you'd been with Coach Reich before when you were a player here. What was it about that experience in 2018 that set things in motion that you thought this would be something you might want to pursue, and why was now the right time to be part of this coaching staff?
Well, in 2018, that was a kind of as we would say, an appetizer of me seeing if this is something that I not only can I do it, it was also a thought of would I do it? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that appetizer was good. It really was. It was a good taste. I felt like, I was energetic, and I don't know if that was because I was a volunteer at the time. You know what I mean? But I was excited to be there, and I felt like the guys were they're responding pretty well. But at the time, I kind of was. Like I said, I was a volunteer. I didn't really want to step on anybody's toes.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Patullo, he was the receiver coach. I was just kind of in the background, just kind of add my 2 cents when asked. But those 2 cents that that I was asked, I felt like I was serving. I felt like I was being impactful, and guys were responding well. You know what I mean? So that kind of gave me that feel of like, all right, I can do this. I really feel like.
Mm-hmm.
This is in me. You know what I mean? Now, as far as the other question you asked is why the timing is right. Man, Frank was asking me every year. It was asking me. Yeah, he was. That phone call would come around the same time every year, and it's like, yeah, I know what Frank's about to ask. You know what I mean? But it's a few things about that. One. All the other times he asked me, I just knew I wasn't ready mentally.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't, I understand to be a coach in this league, it's a lot of hours you got to put in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
And I just didn't, at the time, I felt like I didn't have that to give. I got kids at home, I got little boys at home, and I just think they was too young,
Mm-hmm.
at the time. Everything has to be ready. Everything has to fall in place. But this particular time when he called, he was used to getting a no ASAP, But this time when he called, I was actually looking forward to the call, And when he called, the first thing I did, I smiled, I grinned, I answered the phone, and Frank gave me his spiel as he always does, and he said, I'm circling back around and seeing what your thoughts are. And instead of me giving him a no right away, I said, "Hey, let me think about this."
That's what I was going to ask you.
Let me goggle this a little bit. You know what I mean? And I think I caught him by surprise, honestly. Right. You know what I mean? And he was like, "Are you all right, man?" Hey, he was like, he didn't want to mess it up. You know what I mean? So he was like, he said, "Okay, man, take as much time as you need." And he said, if you got any questions, let me know. And so, I kind of contemplated on it, and I asked a lot of people that I know that are coaches. Some of them was former players to get their thoughts on not only their journey, but also, like, hey, how would you think my journey would be?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and I added all that stuff in there, and man, I just feel like now is the time. At some point in time, Frank go, stop calling me. That's how I look at it. Like, he's not gonna keep letting me tell him no. So it's like,
Right.
Man, I just, I was blessed enough to get those phone calls every year, and to me, I look at it as like, all right, man, like you did something right, along the way, to leave an impression, to have that option to have an NFL coach continuously calling you next year if you want to coach, So, I just think it's time. My dad was a high school coach. I went to school to be a teacher. I'm a history major. So I'm still teaching. It's just in a different way.
No doubt about that. And you talked about this is going to be your first full-time coaching opportunity. And it's not just about you played at a high level, right? Mm-hmm. We can talk about your Hall of Fame career coming up in just a little bit. But, your playing career speaks for itself. But what about the relationships? Coach Reich is calling you for a reason, not just because you can coach. You can relate to these players. How excited are you for that opportunity as well?
That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. It's kind of like when you're playing, like part of me, I played to impact lives, right? To put smiles on, fans' faces, right? That was part of the journey. That was part of the theory for me. Mm-hmm. And now to me, it's the same way. It's the same thing. Now you're coaching. Now I can teach, these guys, these receivers, how to impact lives, how to become a professional if they feel like they're missing something. I can give them my 2 cents. I can tell them my journey. I sat in them same seats. I was in the same meeting room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Like I know what you're going through. I've been there. I've been a second, third year receiver. Hey, I didn't start until my third year. So, what I mean? So, like, I get what you're going through. I know times, it's been times where I woke up and, in my second year in the league and I go to, wash my face and I'm looking at myself in the mirror like, hey, man, is this what you really want to do? You know what I mean? Like it's a journey. It's a process. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm excited about. I'm excited not only about getting them better, teaching them how to be professionals, giving them little nuances of the game that I feel like I can help them improve in. I just don't want to screw them up. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to screw up a Michael Pittman Jr. I just want to I want to take what you're great at and keep it there, and whatever it is that you're lacking, I can give you my 2 cents. You know what I mean? So, and that's what it's about to me. I tell everybody all the time, it's more than just being, a player or a coach or things like that. It's like, man, once football is over, what are they saying about you? You know what I mean? Are they saying you're a good teammate? Mm-hmm. And that's, to me, that's everything. So whatever I can do to help them with that, I'm all for it.
You do inherit a very young room, rich in talent.
Yes, young.
And all of the guys who played with you, who shared that locker room with you, talked about the mentor that you were. Even when you were a player, you kind of wore that coach hat because you were bringing guys up. Guys like T.Y. Hilton said that over and over.
Yep.
What is one lesson that you had to learn, I don't know if I want to say the hard way in your career, but just through experience in your career, that you look forward to hopefully teaching these guys that they can learn earlier on in their careers, benefit from sooner, and hopefully use that over the course of their careers, get to, utilize that or learn from that even sooner than maybe what you did?
You know what the biggest thing was for me? It was patience. I didn't handle being patient well. I came from the University of Miami where I started as a true freshman. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Been playing, been on the star, squad since I was 7. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, at 7 years old, you're dreaming about getting to the NFL. You don't care about all that other stuff. You don't care about Hall of Fame. You don't care about you just want to play, right? You just want to play football. So, and then all of a sudden when you've reached the pinnacle, you've reached your dream, and all of a sudden, they're telling you, hey, you're not ready yet. Take a squat. Sit on the bench. So like that's tough. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden you start questioning things. you start doubting things. Then you start getting rebellious. You start getting angry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just felt like I didn't handle patience well, but after a while, I realized, like, my third year, I remember Tony Dungy coming up to me and say, all right, hey, now it's your turn. You know what I mean? I almost went out there in the parking lot and did jumping jacks and somersaults. You know what I mean? Because I've been waiting for that moment. And then when I got into that moment, and as time goes by, I tell myself, like, damn, I wasn't ready. You know what I mean? Like, they saw that. You know what I mean? Like, you think you're ready, but so it's just being patient. One thing I tell these guys, like, hey, I understand, you want to be this and you want to be that, but just be patient. Continue to work on your craft. Continue to work on your game, and it'll come to light. You know what I mean?
Reggie, this is probably a better question for the Reggie Wayne of year 7 or 8 instead of Reggie Wayne year 2 or 3 like you just talked about. But how important was coaching to you as a player? How much did you want to be coached?
Oh, every day, for what, I'll say 11 years, 10 years, something like that. Clyde Christensen was my receiver coach, right? And we would always say the same thing at the beginning of every year. We'd sit down, we had a meeting, and he would say, hey, I'm going to treat you like you're a rookie. And that's all I wanted. I didn't ever want no special treatment. I never wanted none of that stuff. I just wanted to go in and play football. I enjoyed it. I loved playing football. So treat me like a rookie, because as soon as I start getting comfortable with feeling like, all right, I made X amount of Pro Bowls and this and that, that's when I feel like my game's going to lack. You know what I mean? So I wanted him to treat me like a rookie. He was hard on me, and that was cool. So I bring on coaching. I love being coach, because at the end of the day, like I've always said, everybody's on scholarship. You know what I mean? So you need to make sure your axe is sharpened enough continuously over and over and over. You know what I mean? So I enjoyed it. I really do. And man, even like when Frank Reich was my receiver coach, I learned different things from him. Like, I had never had a receiver coach that was a former NFL quarterback. So now I say, you know what? I got to take advantage of this.
Yeah.
What the hell are y'all thinking when this is called, or when you see this defense or whatever? Like, that was the best thing that ever happened to me. You know what I mean? He becoming my receiver coach, and he was a former NFL quarterback. And it was like a breath of fresh air when I'd be like, I sit in a meeting and I hear Frank say, man, I don't know how you going to do that. Oh, thank you, Jesus. Because I don't know how I'm going to do it either.
You get it.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
You get it.
Absolutely do get it.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to go up on a whiteboard and draw something, draw a route. And then you go out there and physically try to do it. Man, you'll blow both your kneecaps. You know what I mean? So then you get Frank Reich coming in and he says, I don't think that's possible. I'm like, man, I appreciate you, man. You know what I mean? So man, I've been blessed along my way to have great people around me, great teammates, great coaches to lead the way, to show me, how it's done. I've seen different ways of how it's done, from Tony Dungy, to Jim Caldwell, to Chuck Pagano. I've had position coaches. I've had full receiver coaches, but man, all of them was good. All of them left an imprint on my journey, and I appreciate all that, man. I love coaching. We can't do it without coaches. Coaches is important. It really is. Just like leadership.
You mentioned that it took, a couple of calls year after year for Coach Reich to pull you in terms of being a part of this staff as a wide receivers coach. How quickly did you and Cato June connect on maybe you would come into the building at the same time, two Super Bowl champions within this organization coming back together? He was here in 2018 as well. He was doing a coaching fellowship.
Yeah, it's and that's one of the guys I talked to. Great friend of mine. Yeah, we ran these streets. But he was into the coaching thing for a long time, but he was more on the college level.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And but it's the same difference, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like he knows the grind. He knows what it does to families. He knows you got to have a strong supporting staff. You know what I mean? So if you don't have those things in line, then it's gonna be hard for you. So, but I remember he told me, he said, "Man, I gotta." Even back in 2018, he was wanting to get on back then. You know what I'm saying? And I was telling him, because I just wanted to be a volunteer then. You know what I mean? But I was enjoying the journey at the time, and I was like, "Hey, man, if you don't get on, just keep doing your thing. They're gonna realize it. They're gonna recognize it. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you gotta jump over those hurdles. You know what I mean? But I take my hat off to him just to see how he continued to push and push and push. You know what I mean? And I think, like, man, this is perfect for him. You know what I mean? You're coming back to, where you won the Super Bowl ring. You're familiar with, you're one of the homes that you claim. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's perfect. So when he told me he was coming in for an interview, I said, man, have your stuff together. Because at the time, I didn't know what I was going to do. You know what I mean? But I was cheering for him, you know what I'm saying, so hard and so much because I know how hard it is to get into this business. And he wanted it so bad, you know what I mean? So, like, I know I was getting on his nerves. I kept calling him, like, man, you ready? You ready? And then after, he had his interview, he didn't call me, you know what I mean? So I'm like, damn, something must have didn't work, you know what I mean? But, he ended up calling me later on, and he told me, that he got it. And I was his biggest cheerleader. You know what I'm saying? I really was. And, like, that helped me. You know what I mean? Like, I know Frank, but Frank is the head coach. You know what I mean? I know I can pull, bounce stuff off of him if need be. But, like, man, his job's important. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's good to have a familiar face.
Yeah. And
not only a familiar face, a face that has been grinding, that's been – a coach for X amount of years that's been through it, So whenever I do have a tough day or a rough day, I can have somebody that I'm familiar with that I can go to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I've met everybody on the staff, and it seems like everybody on the staff is like that. It seems like there are people that you can go and talk to. Man, Gus Bradley had me in his office for 2 hours. I'm like, Gus, I'm on the offensive side, right? You know what I mean? But it was great. I learned stuff from Gus.
Yeah.
Just in 2 hours, my first time meeting him. You know what I mean? So it's like all these guys are great people on his staff. I really feel good about it. And guys are excited about it. You know what I mean? So if they're excited about it, I'm even more excited.
Reg, when you were here, I mean, every year you guys were going 12-4 and winning the AFC South and making the playoffs, and that equated to, so much, playoff success and winning the Super Bowl. And I know this might be a tough question to answer because you're back in, it's only been a couple of weeks. But what do you make of the culture in the building now compared to when you were here as a player? Do you see any similarity there?
I do. Like I've always thought that, he may have been, maybe a little bit more aggressive as a tackler. But, like, I've always thought that Leonard was a Cato June. Like their ball skills is like Cato was a Pro Bowler. Cato had like 6 picks one year. You know what I mean? Like I see a lot of things in place, that can resemble what we had. Actually it could be better. I just think they just gotta just fix a couple things here and there, and I think they'll be right back to where they were. It's kind of hard just on the outside looking in. I watched every game. I was cheering, win, lose, or draw. I'm still wearing my Colts stuff in Miami, and I'm down there, amongst all Dolphin fans, which, was cool. I enjoyed it because we was better than them anyway. You know what I mean? But it's just one of them things that I just feel like it's just a couple of things that, they can just fix this and fix that. Man, every game is it's just one or two plays,
No doubt.
right?
Yep.
That tells the tale of a game. And we know last year that it's a lot of games we feel like we should have won. And I say we because I really was a big fan. I feel like I was part of that. You know what I mean? And there was a couple of games that got away from us at the end. You know what I mean? But it's not far. It's not, man. And we just need them to believe that. We need them the leaders to lead, and everybody just buy into that system. And if we can get everybody to buy into the system, I think they'll be fine. Because that's what we did. We bought into the system. We the gospel that Coach Dungy and Coach Caldwell was preaching, like, we was all for it.
Last one from me. I know that you're just a few hours on the job officially, so like throwing you right into it. But you've been around quite a bit, Ring of Honor ceremonies and the inductions and all the different celebrations and, going to Canton to see your teammates go in. So you've been around quite a bit. Even prior to now, what conversations have you been able to have with these wide receivers who you're now inheriting? What potential do you see with this group? Michael Pittman Jr., you have Paris Campbell, Desmond Patman, all of those guys who you're now going to be working hand in hand with in a couple weeks.
Well, it's funny you asked that. I was just talking to the players' personnel guy, David Thornton, here, and I said, hey, I need all the players' phone numbers.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah.
And right before I came to you guys, I got all their numbers. So when I get done with you all, I'm going and make those phone calls. I actually bumped into Paris Campbell earlier, right? And it's funny, because I remember when he was drafted, I called his name, right? Like,
yeah,
I called your name, bro. Like,
wow,
I need you right now, right? So like, but we was talking and it was real brief, and I told him I'd call him and we'll talk later. But I said, hey, for one, we need you healthy.
Yeah,
we need you healthy, and I told him straight up. And I'm one thing about me, I'm gonna be honest, right? I'm gonna be honest because your play is a reflection of me, right? So if you're not doing what you're supposed to, you're not being a professional, showing up on time and being ready and answering the bell every week, that's an impression of me and what I'm instilling into you guys. You know what I mean? So I already know the eyes gonna be on me. It's just I feel like I'm that first round draft pick in 2001 all over again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I know they're gonna be watching. So it's my job to make sure they're ready. And I told them, I said, I need you healthy and I need you ready. We're gonna have fun.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I told them the truth. I said, hey, the clock's ticking. We need you there.
Mm-hmm.
What you gonna do? You got to answer the bell.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I'm a big fan of Michael Pittman Jr., Patman, like all these dudes. I'm trying to get all of them on, and give them as much as I possibly can, because the only thing I want to do is I want to see these boys succeed.
Mm-hmm.
I really feel like this team is going to go as far as the receivers can take them. Yeah, we know we got, Jonathan Taylor in the backfield, and he's a bad boy, right? But guess what? They're going to start loading that box like they already have.
Yeah.
So it's going to be up to these receivers to take that pressure off.
Mm-hmm.
Not only him, the O-line, the quarterback, everybody.
Yeah.
So I really feel like offensively we can do some great things. But it's going to be up to the receivers to be able to deliver.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to make these phone calls and talk to these guys, get to know them a little bit, and have some fun. I really am.
Right. Reg, last one. You've been so gracious with your time, but as a player, this is me talking, not you. So everybody understand that. But 211 games with the Colts, franchise record, 14,000 yards, NFL receiving champ. Again, this is me. You're going into the Hall of Fame, right? It's a matter of when, not if, for you. So far, these last couple of years, what has this process been like for you? The anxiety level, so to speak, and then when it does happen, what do you think that's going to mean?
Whenever it happens, if it happens, it'll be great. It'll be a stamp on my dream. My dream was to be a player
Mm-hmm.
in the NFL. I never really looked at being a Hall of Famer. I didn't know what that was, but to finally do the body of work and then you hear your name being amongst that, it's the final chapter to book. You know what I mean? But like I told you guys earlier, like I'm cool with. I'm patient. I am. It's already written, man. It's already written, and if it happens, it happens. But you know what? If it don't, I'm cool. I'm good. You know, like I don't think I ever cared about, and this is documented. I've always said this, and I'm gonna continue to say it. All I ever cared about, right, was obviously that was my dream to be an NFL football player. We can check that off, right? But once I got to the league, the only thing I cared about, man, was what my teammates and what my peers and what they thought of me, right? Like when a stranger comes up to a Cato June, a Gary Brackett, whoever, Robert Mathis, whoever, right? And they say, man, how was it to play with Reggie? You know, is he a cool dude? Is he a good teammate? You know, their answer is what I care about. You know what I mean? Are they going to say, man, he was a damn good teammate, he was a hell of a friend, he's a great father, all those things. You know, like that's what I care about. And if I get anything positive from those questions that those random people come up to those guys with, that's great. I'm good. The thing I can't handle is if they had an answer that said, man, he's a terrible teammate. He's awful. You know what I mean? You know, like that will bother me. But like if I get that knock on the door or whatever and say, hey, Reggie, you know, welcome to the Hall of Fame, bro, I'm gonna be ecstatic. I'm gonna be excited. You know, I'm enjoying the wave anyway, you know, regardless. You know, but if I don't get it in a timely fashion, I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be all right. You know what I mean? I know one thing. I gave it everything I had. I had nothing left. You know, I felt like I left it all on the field. You know what I mean? And I have no regrets. I don't. I do everything the same way.
Yeah, it's the way to live, man. You're a class act and a pro's pro, and like you said, we would all agree, Larry and myself, and I think we speak for all of the Colts fans everywhere out there, that you are a Hall of Famer in the game of life and being a great guy. So really appreciate the time. It's great to see you again. It's awesome to have you on the staff. And
Coach Reggie.
Yeah, good luck. We appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.